I'm a violinist with very short arms, and if I were to follow the default setup that we see in most illustrations and pictures in method books, someone like me would never really be able to reach the tip of my bow without it going crooked. The truth is that every setup is a little bit different, and each individual's anatomy, experience, and even their body condition will determine what's best for their setup, and we have to make small adjustments. Hey, it's Langerman from Violinna.live, and this video is for all the people with short arms who are struggling to reach the tip of their bow comfortably. I'm going to show you 2 setup adjustments that you can make to help reach the tip of your bow without it going crooked and without having to opt for a 3/4 size bow. Before I begin, just remember that all of our anatomies are different, and what I am sharing here may or may not serve you 100%. I am just here sharing my own experience and knowledge with you, but if you are taking violin lessons, please do consult with your teacher. So, growing up, I was always advised that the tip of my bow would be about 3 or 4 inches closer, lower in the bow, because when I extended my arm, this is where my bow would end up, like I'm showing you right now. You can see my arm's already extended, and we never want to lock the elbow like that because that's really not good. So this is actually a very common advice given to young students, especially those who are growing, who are still on smaller instruments. And I think what happened is when I switched to a full size, when I was 12 or 13, the assumption was that I would continue growing, my arms would get longer, but the truth is that when I was 12 years old, I stopped growing in terms of height and arm length, and it wasn't until I was 17 that I finally realized the need to make some accommodations to my setup. So the first adjustment that I made was to bring the instrument to be angled more in front of me. So some people hold their instrument out to the side like this, especially those with longer arms, and generically people with short arms should hold it more in front. It's also around this time that I ditched my shoulder rest finally, but that's for another conversation. So bringing the instrument more in front of me was helping me a little bit with my bow without having to change its angle, but unfortunately it came with one big side effect. For those of you who already saw my video on the left-hand frame, which I will link up here, I talked about how in order to have a good left-hand frame, it's important to align the elbow to the knuckle of the pinky to keep a straight line here. And in order to keep that left-hand frame good and holding the instrument in front like that, that required coming around way too much with the elbow, and it caused the shoulder to really hunch forward like this, created a lot of unnecessary tension. So because of that, I made a second adjustment, and this was the game changer for me. I switched to a center-mounted chin rest. And what happened is that when I switched to the center-mounted chin rest, I ended up holding the instrument higher up on the shoulder. Actually, 2 good things happened besides the bow. So of course, first, when you move the instrument higher up like this, the bow automatically reached the tip finally. The second good thing that happened is that I didn't have to come around so much like that. So I was able to have some freedom here. So I have I'm doing around a 45-degree angle here, maybe a little bit closer than that. But as you can see, I can comfortably reach the tip of the bow like this without having to adjust the angle of my bow arm just by holding the instrument higher like this. Now, finding a good chin rest takes trial and error. For me, the Berber has been the most reliable. By the way, this video is not sponsored by anybody. I'm just sharing with you my experience. And the search for a chin rest can take a long time, and especially as our bodies keep changing over the years. And one lesson that I learned recently is that the instrument setup is something that you might have to change over the years, even after you've been playing for decades. So don't think that one way for you, once you identify it, that's going to be the default way. Be open to the idea that this might change for you in the future, or not, depending on you. So if you are someone with short arms, try these 2 ideas in combination, holding the instrument in front of you, and of course remember that there is a limit to how much you can do this, so feel it out for yourself, experiment, and try moving the instrument higher up on the shoulder. Now, if you also have small hands and would like some tips for left hand frame in first position, check out this tutorial right over here. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend or a colleague. Sign up for my bi-monthly newsletter, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and happy practicing!